Well, hello everyone. Today I've been idly looking at the bike and to see about putting the front tyre on the other way round, but I see that where the speedo drive, if I can just turn the old bike round a bit, let's see if I can find it. There we go. Look, the speedo drive is held in place by going into a notch in the makeup of the wheel. Now, I thought that meant that that the wheel would only go in one way, but when I look more carefully, there is also, if I can get it in there, you can see there's another notch in the other side, bleaching out a bit there. There we go. Look, so there's a notch that side as well, and the wheel appears to be symmetrical, not offset. So I suspect I can just simply take the spindle out, turn the wheel round and put it back in again. There's no reason why it shouldn't fit. I will loosen everything off and have a go in a minute. I have again precariously balanced the bike on my new stand. You can see it's a little bit wobbles around a lot. I don't know if you can see that, so you do have to recognise its limitations, but if I go carefully it should be fine. I have also noticed that if you do that, you can see the disc is covered in oil. It's got to be brake fluid from up inside the calipers. There's nothing else that it can be. So I'll have to investigate what's involved in overhauling these, or whether you can get new kits, or what I'm going to do. I have no idea. So that'll be work to have a look at in the future. But the brakes do work after a fashion. You just have to, let's say, plan ahead with your manoeuvres when you're approaching road junctions or roundabouts. So what I'll do is I'll just turn the wheel round so at least the tyre is on correctly, and then I'll go and do some research as to how to overhaul both calipers properly. Whether I have to buy new ones or I can get them machined with bigger pistons, or I don't know. Anyway, so that'll be that for the moment. I'll get back to you in a minute when I find the spanners and make a start. Okay, so as I loosen everything off, this was only just about hand tight. However, it's come undone nicely. Everything is starting to drop out. So as I'm on my own, I think what I'm going to do is lower the bike down so the weight of the wheel, get it in there, so the weight of the wheel is on the ground, and that way I can let things out. There we go, like that. I can undo these and let the tyre, the wheel out under control. Because the bike is not very stable. The bike is not very stable on the stand, so you have to be careful with these things. Look, I see we have a variety of washers. That has a plain washer. The other two have just spring washers. Get that out of the way. And this one has a plain washer and a spring washer. Perhaps I should look in the parts catalogue and see what it should have. Let's put that there. Wriggle that one off. Should drop out. There we go. That is all loose anyway. So let's take that nut off completely. There we go. So now if I raise the bike up, the front tyre will stay where it is. It's already clears the mudguard, so I'm not too worried. And by going steadily, there's no reason why the bike should, why we should have any problems. Okay, that's plenty there. So I'll just gently roll this out. He said. Okay, so the tyre's catching on these two, on the mudguard nuts. That's a bit of a pain, isn't it? They look like they're screws. Okay, there's no hexagons on those, so they're obviously screws, which means that we're going to have to get the wheel up and then undo them through the spokes. Let's have another look at that then. Right, I need a plan of action because the brake shoes have now come loose, of course, on the discs, so they're flopping around and the discs no longer want to go underneath them. Let's have a look. Yeah, they look like Allen bolts. So what I'll have to do, I think, is gently wriggle things back together. I'll probably take the calipers off on reflection. Yeah, I think I need to take the calipers off. So I'll see if I can find an Allen key. Hey, hold. Right. Okay, that's got a nut on the back. Can't see what's going on there. Okay, well, it has a shouldered bolt, and the nut is held captive in a hexagonal hole, so that's pretty straightforward then. But I'll bring the camera in so you can see. Just let me just carefully hold the camera, and I've got greasy hands. You can see here that everything is black and covered with brake fluid. You see all in here, look, if I scrape that, look. So that's obviously what the problem is with the discs. I'll take the other side off, and then I can get to these nuts to take them out from through the wheel, which will then enable me to pull the tyre out without letting the whole thing down. It's probably easier to undo these 4 screws than it is to try and let the tyre down and squash it in and things, because I don't want to push the bike about too much on the stand. Okay, so we'll catch you again in a minute. And we'll move on to the next short added on video. Okay, so I'm lucky enough to have in my toolkit these nice 3/8 drive Torx keys, and I find that the T40 is an exact fit into the bolts holding the mudguard on. So you can see there that they'll run straight through the wheel, and I'll be able to undo those no problem. That will release the mudguard stay where these are too narrow to let the tyre come out. I'll do that in a moment. I've also put a block of wood under the side stand. Let's see if you can see that, like that, just to stop it going that way. and I've wedged a piece of wood up against the swinging arm. It's only resting on the ground, as you can see, but it has significantly stabilised the bike, and it's less likely to go over and all end in tears. Okay, so let's catch you again in a moment. Okay, so we've eventually took off one side of the nuts on the mudguard bracket, look, and the tyre will squeak between the two, but it doesn't fit between the caliper mounting brackets, which is most idiotic. The tyre doesn't go through that gap, and you have to loosen off the mudguard in order to rotate the stanchions to get the wheel out, which is the most stupid idea I've ever come across, because that could have easily been half an inch wider and no one would have noticed. I don't know what Harley were thinking there. I've also noticed that the calipers themselves are single-sided, which I thought was something you'd only did on the cheapest of bikes. You can see all the well, I don't know if you can in this light. You can see all the brake fluid glistening. I will undo this bolt on the side, as it doesn't seem to have any hydraulics in it, and take the thing apart, give them a wash in brake cleaner and put it back together. It's a short-term thing because they shouldn't be leaking in the first place, but I need to do some research as to what I can do about it. So, see you in a moment. Right, I've washed everything off now. You can see this looks a lot better. I've taken the calipers apart and washed the pads in brake cleaner and put copper slip here and there on both sides. You can see I've used the dog end of what I had, some brake and clutch cleaner, which is now gone, so I need some more. I've given the rotors or discs a clean in the same way, and the thing is now ready to go back together. It won't solve the problem because the fact that everything got this covered in brake fluid in, what have I done, 500 miles, something like that maybe, means this is only a temporary fix. But anyway, it's better than nothing at all, and I'll do some research to find out if I can buy new calipers or an overhaul kit or what, I don't know. So now it's just a question of wriggling the tyre back in gently without pushing the bike off the stand. Where's my... There we go, front wheel that way, which is correct. So I'll just try and... Alright, Paul. Wriggle that between those two. I need both hands for this. Ooh. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Okay, so I don't know if you saw that, but that's now wriggled back in again, and even now it looks much more sensible with the tyre pointing in the right direction. I'll jack it back up again in a moment and put the spindle back in and put it all back together. So I'll show you that later on, because I have to go out now. Okay, so I put everything back together, but the tyre was resting up against the mudguard stay at this point, and when I did up the clamps down at the bottom here, it was still resting there, so I've slackened everything off again till it was finger tight on both sides, and then took the stand out from the bike and compressed the forks up and down to settle everything in so that the stanchions would equalise up how they should be. And the wheel has now, you can see here that there's about a 6mm gap here between the tyre and the bracket, and is equally the same on that side. So let's see if I can get that to focus for you. You can see that there is a gap there right the way through, and the same on that side as well. So I'm happy with that it's settling in exactly the right place. And you can see the front wheel now looks like a front wheel instead of a wheel with an odd block tread to it. I guess the reason for this very fine tolerance here, of course, is that modern tyres have this rib on the outside, whereas in the old days you had an Avon Speedmaster or something like that, an SM, which was just straight up the sides and then ribs across the middle here without all this sort of clever dick stuff. So I think that's something you have to live with, which is also probably why it wouldn't fit between the caliper mounting brackets. It was that point that it wouldn't go through. So there we are. I've tightened everything up nicely and it's all settled back in place. So everything's as was, but I do need to do the research and find out whether I can buy new calipers completely, or whether I need an overhaul kit or what, because it will of course become fouled up again and stop working properly once more. Anyway, there we are. That's it for this time round. I'll see you in the next one.